For this morning, I'd like to talk about three specific historical questions on the Seminario Conciliar de Nueva Cáceres from 1785 to 1974. Medyo malawak yung scope ko, but I hope to be able to answer three questions. And these are the questions that I will be asking this morning. The first question is about the foundation. When was the Seminary of Nueva Cáceres founded? Kasi yung konteksto ng tanong na ito, iba-iba kasi yung sagot ng iba't ibang institusyon. Sinasabi ng National Historical Institute, which was the precursor of NHCP, that it was founded in 1793. May mga historians nagsasabi it was founded in 1797. Meron din nagsasabi na it was way earlier because it had a precursor called the Casa de Clerigos. So maraming sagot to just one simple historical question. And we will try to consult a secondary source later and also a historiographic study, parang yung present ni Father Francis kanina, in order to answer question number one. Question number two, why do historians, for example, Bishop Jose Rojas or Bishop Alarcon, Rex Alarcon of Daet, regard Francisco Gainza's episcopacy or yung term of office niya as bishop as the seminary's period of growth and prosperity? And finally, you might be interested to find out, especially the seminarians here present today, who are some of the notable figures in Bicol history who studied at the Seminary of Nueva Cáceres. So we will try to answer these questions in just a bit. Let's go to the first question. When was the Seminario Conciliar de Nueva Cáceres founded? And maybe a question that is inextricably linked to that is this question, the one you see on your right. Was a certain Casa de Clerigos really the seminary's precursor as claimed by several historians? Pag sinabing Casa de Clerigos, it literally means house of priests. Ano? So titingnan natin kung siya nga ba talaga yung forerunner o yung predecessor ng Seminario de Nueva Cáceres. I'd like to consult my good friend's article titled When Was the Seminary of Nueva Cáceres Founded? A Historiographical Excursus. This was written by my good friend Jethro Calacday, and it was published in the June 2019 issue of Philippine Studies, Historical and Ethnographic Viewpoints, which is the quarterly journal published by the Ateneo de Manila University. So, also, Jethro argues that a question that is linked to the question of the seminary's foundation is if it originated from a certain Casa de Clerigos allegedly founded in the 17th century. So hindi lang natin sasagutin kung kailan yung foundation year, sasagutin din natin kung predecessor niya nga ba talaga yung tinatawag na Casa de Clerigos, which by the way, as several historians claim, used to be located in what is now Calle Padian or Padian Street. Nasaan yung BPI, no? Yung kanto ng Elias Angeles, papunta sa market, that's Calle Padian. So we will try to answer that question as well. Some contextual notes that are important in answering the question. The first is, the Philippine Historical Committee declared that the seminary was founded in 1797 by Bishop Domingo Colliantes of the Order of Preachers, a Dominican. And later on, many decades later, the National Historical Institute, which is the forerunner of the National Historical Commission of the Philippines, declared in 1988 that the seminary was in fact founded in 1793 by also Domingo Colliantes, and that the seminary was the former Casa de Clerigos founded by Bishop Andres Gonzalez around 1700. So hindi lang siya 1793. It was also much earlier because it was the former Casa de Clerigos. So, kapag bumisita kayo sa Holy Rosary Seminary, siguro pag tapos na yung health crisis natin, ano, kasi napaka-delikado pang lumabas ngayon, makikita niyo yung historical marker ng NHI sa seminary. The picture you see on your right is that historical marker. And you will see in the first sentence immediately that the NHI asserted that it was, or it used to be, the Casa de Clerigos. You know? But was it really the Casa de Clerigos before it became the seminary? The existing historiography, particularly Domingo Abella, he published his book Bicol Annals in 1954. We have Ermida, 1988. Danny Hirona, 1988, 2014, 2019, 3 books. And Bishop Rojas. These historians are in consensus in arguing that the Casa de Clerigos was the incipient seminary or the predecessor of the Seminary of Nueva Cáceres. Actually, dun sa article ni Jethro, makikita nyo yung isang table. Kino-compare and contrast niya yung approximate date of foundation of the Casa de Clerigos as argued by several authors. No? So the first author that you will see in the table is Agapito Sacristan in 1949. Sinasabi ni Jethro Calacday, na si Sacristan actually yung pinaka-source talaga nito, na nanggaling ito sa isang Casa de Clerigos bago naging seminaryo. Nag-publish siya ng isang, I think, a short article in 1941. It was reproduced in a souvenir program in 1949. So hindi na daw yata extant yung 1941 version, yung original. So the 1949 republication is the one being used by historians. So the other historians followed suit. Nakuha nila yung information na yon kay Agapito Sacristan. So kung makikita nyo, halos pare-pareho lang yung arguments nila as to the date of foundation of that Casa de Clerigos that they were referring to. Siguro yung naiba lang dito ay si Professor Danilo Hirona. He argues that it was founded sometime in 1645 to 1670 during the episcopacy of Zaldivar and San Gregorio. But all the rest, halos pare-pareho lang, no? Kay Gonzales, 1685 to 1709. Let's go back to the previous slide. So, Calacday argues that the reiterations of historians consolidated a myth that passed as a historical fact. Actually, ang argument ni Calacday dun sa essay na yon ay hindi daw nagmula sa Casa de Clerigos ang seminaryo. Dahil hindi naman in the first place seminaryo ang Casa de Clerigos. Later, we will get to that. But the thing is, it is a myth. No? The predecessor or the idea that the seminary followed a Casa de Clerigos was actually a myth that passed as a historical fact. So this is something that Calacday was trying to dispel in this essay. So the Casa de Clerigos was not an incipient seminary, as several historians have already claimed. But it was in fact a house to which priests could retire for spiritual renewal. So halimbawa yung mga pare ay magre-retreat, pupunta sila ng Casa de Clerigos. No? May recollection, punta sila ng Casa de Clerigos. So think of the Casa de Clerigos as a retreat house or as a house which visiting priests could also use when they're in town. Halimbawa, yung mga pari galing Manila, tapos they're in town to observe the diocese, they would most likely stay there at the Casa de Clerigos. But it was not a seminary. It did not train, it did not form seminarians to become priests. It was a residence. No? It functioned more of a residence than a seminary. Now, Calacday argues that there is hardly any evidence that guarantees the full and exclusive training of seminarians in Nueva Cáceres before 1785. In other words, hindi predecessor ng seminaryo ang Casa de Clerigos. No? Yung tendency kasi natin, pag maraming nagsabi, mas kapanipaniwala. Diba? Kapag may 7 historiador nagsabi na Casa de Clerigos predecessor ng seminary, it seems believable, no? But reiterating what Father Francis has already said earlier, Calacday went back to the primary sources. He consulted his primary sources. He took a look at the literature or what has already been written about the seminary, no? And he evaluated this against the backdrop of the primary sources that he evaluated as well. So, when was the definite beginning of the Seminario Conciliar de Nueva Cáceres? It was founded by virtue of a royal order dated May 11, 1785, at the petition of Bishop Juan Antonio Gallego de Orbigo a Franciscan bishop. And he was the one who lobbied to the King of Spain to construct a seminary here in Nueva Cáceres. So 1785 ang year of foundation. Now, yung source na ginamit ni Jethro in his article was the report written by Bishop Colliantes to King Charles IV. It was dated November 3, 1796, which detailed the state of the seminary, the situation of the clergy, and the diocese, among others. Makikita nyo yung first page ng document to your right, the right side of the screen. It was republished in 1970 by the University of Santo Tomas. So 1785. Siguro, and this is just me conjecturing, siguro yung 1793 ay yung canonical foundation or erection. Maybe Father Francis could shed some light later kung anong gusto sabihin ng canonical erection. He's more familiar with that than myself. So we will talk more about that maybe during the open forum. But as to the question of foundation, it was founded on May 11, 1785. And no, it did not succeed a certain Casa de Clerigos, because the Casa de Clerigos functioned more as a residence than a seminary. Let's go now to question number 2. Why do historians consider Francisco Gainza's incumbency as the seminary's period of growth and prosperity? Now, on March 5, 1862, Queen Isabella II named a 44-year-old Dominican missionary and professor of canon law at UST to succeed Manuel Grijalvo as Bishop of Caceres. And his name, very lengthy name, was Francisco Caracciolo Oreta Vizcaya de Gainza y Escobes. We just call him Francisco Gainza in the interest of brevity. Now, Gainza set into motion 2 significant educational reforms for the diocese even before he arrived Nueva Cáceres. So bago pa man siya nakatapak sa kanyang bagong assignment, meron na siyang vision when it comes to the educational reforms that he will be implementing. The first is the redirection of its Seminario, and the second is the establishment of a Colegio Beaterio for girls, which we now know as Universidad de Santa Isabel. No? So ito yung kanyang dalawang educational reforms for the diocese. I was supposed to talk about the latter, but I figured that the former would be more of interest for the present audience. So I'd like to talk more about the redirection of the seminary. Now, before leaving for Naga or for Nueva Cáceres, Gainza and Bishop Romualdo Jimeno of Cebu wrote the Vincentian visitor in Madrid, Father Ramon Sanz, a joint letter. Ano yung sinasabi ng letter na yon? Humihingi sila ng mga pare, ng mga brothers para mag-take over sa seminaryo. But the problem is, the Vincentians during that time, by 1863, they were stationed in Manila and they were undermanned. So kulang na kulang sila sa tao. So in other words, hindi nakapagpadala ng mga tao yung mga Vincentian priests in Manila to Naga and even Cebu dahil kulang nga sila. And it was not until 1865 when they actually sent priests to Naga and Cebu. So Gainza arrived Naga by March 19, 1863. And as I mentioned earlier, his priority was to reconstruct or the re-edification of the seminary. Bakit kailangan ng reconstruction? Dahil nasunog ito few years prior to Gainza's incumbency. So pinaayos niya yung seminaryo. So mababasa niyo dun sa memoirs ni Gainza na bago niya simulan yung Santa Isabel, inuna niya na muna yung seminary kasi mas nakita niya rin kung paano kinakailangan ng diocese yung formation ng kaparian in Naga City. So, inuna niya yung seminary sa Santa Isabel. Now, according to Bishop Rojas and Bishop Alarcon, it was the period of growth and prosperity because the seminary underwent several developments. Una ko nang na-mention yung reconstruction, nandiyan din yung expansion, yung stabilization ng seminary status because Francisco Gainza promulgated the statutes, yung mga governing laws ng seminary, yung curriculum of study, yung mga prescribed textbook, lahat inayos ni Gainza, no, yung administration. The transformation of the institution into a seminary college, and the transfer of its direction and its administration to the Vincentian Fathers. So if you're wondering, Sir Jai, gaano ba katagal under the Vincentian Fathers yung seminaryo? Kasi ngayon, kung manonotice natin, it's now under the Archdiocese of Caceres, right? It spanned 109 years. Nagsimula siya 1865. At I think the last year of the Vincentians, Father Francis, correct me if I'm wrong, was 1974. 1974. So 109 years under the Vincentians yung seminaryo. No? At a year later, if I'm not mistaken, that's the time it was turned over to the Archdiocese of Caceres. Now, by May 9, 1865, that was the only time when the Vincentians came to Naga. So the seminary was turned over by Gainza to the Vincentian Fathers. He appointed Father Ildefonso Moral, CM, the seminary's rector superior and at the same time chancellor of the Diocese of Caceres. Again, maybe Father Francis could also clarify for us these roles. Ano ba yung chancellor? Ano yung function niya sa isang diocese or archdiocese? As we say in Jesuit parlance, yung first companions ni Father Ildefonso Moral were Santiago Serralonga, Antonio Santonja, and Brother Antonio del Rio. There is actually a street in Naga that was named after Father Antonio Santonja. Now, if you know the answer, I'd like you to type your answers in the chat box and I will read some of them later. Ano? Saan ba yung street na Santonja Street dito sa Naga? All right, so that's quite an obscure street, but it's actually in the middle of two busy streets in Naga during the weekdays. So siguradong dinadaanan niyo yan nung hindi pa pandemic, you know? So, as I mentioned, the seminary was under the Vincentians for 109 years from May 9, 1865 to 1974. So bakit siya golden age of growth and prosperity? Because Gainza turned it over to the Vincentian Fathers, who then directed the scientific, the temporal, and the spiritual direction of the seminary for 109 years. All right? So, iba rin kasi yung scientific orientation ng mga Vincentians. They taught the natural sciences liberally in the seminary so that it inspired several of their students to pursue medicine and pharmacy at the University of Santo Tomas in Manila. Example, Jose Maria Panganiban, Tomas Prieto. No? Si Tomas Prieto, isa dun sa 15 martires, di ba? Si Tomas Prieto, pinag-aral din ng pharmacy sa University of Santo Tomas. Napaka-scientific ng orientation ng mga Vincentian Fathers. It's way contrary to what Rizal presented in Noli Me Tangere, di ba? Na parang anti-science yung mga praile, mga Dominicans, mga Franciscans. But the Vincentians and of course the Jesuits were different. We're not like that as Rizal presented it in Noli Me Tangere. Scientific yung orientation ng education ng mga Vincentians. All right, now, I think this would be of most interest to our students because you'd be wondering, sino kaya yung mga naging estudyante ng seminaryo na mga prominent figures in Bicol history? So the first one I'd like to present to you is Jose Maria Panganiban. So si Panganiban, yung topic ko for my MA thesis at the Ateneo de Manila University. So sinulat ko siya from 2017 to 2020, 3 taon din. At yeah, si Panganiban ay isa sa mga kinikilala natin Bicolano heroes, no? Of national significance as well kasi naging bahagi siya ng propaganda movement. So Panganiban was born in Mambulau, Camarines Norte on February 1, 1863 to Don Vicente Panganiban and Juana Candelaria in Verga. Although we recognize Panganiban as a Bicolano, actually he was born to parents of Tagalog descent. Kasi yung mga Panganiban ay nagmula talaga sa Hagonoy, Bulacan. At yung mga Enverga naman ay nagmula talaga sila sa Tayabas or present-day Quezon Province. So makikita natin na Tagalog yung origins ni Panganiban. Pero kasi kung susuriin niyo yung konteksto ng kanyang early life, taga Mambulau siya, nasaan ba yung Mambulau? Ano ba yung mas malapit sa Mambulau? Is it Naga or Mauban and Lukban, Quezon? So most likely, mas may interaction yung mga taga Mambulau sa Mauban at Lukban kesa sa Naga City. Diba? So it would make sense because those Quezon towns I just mentioned is just one sea away or one bay away from Mambulau, Camarines Norte. Whereas kung Naga City, dadaan ka pa sa San Miguel Bay, dadaan ka pa sa Calzada from Calabanga, medyo malayo, no? Compared to Mauban and Lukban, Quezon. So Tagalog yung origins ni Panganiban. Now, he attended the seminary from 1875 until 1882 and received sobresaliente in all courses. Pag tinignan niyo yung records sa UST, pag tinignan niyo yung grades niya sa seminaryo, actually may kopya pa pala sa seminaryo, makikita niyo lahat excellent, sobresaliente, Latin, Spanish, and all the other subjects that he took. But another historical myth that passed as fact over the years of iterations and reiterations is the fact that, or the myth that, Panganiban graduated from the Seminario Conciliar de Nueva Cáceres. Now, when I was doing my research at the Archivo de Universidad de Santo Tomas, I found out that in 1882, he in fact sent an application to transfer to the Colegio de Santo Tomas. After all these years, kiniklaim ng seminaryo na graduate namin si Panganiban. Diba? Sobresaliente, the only summa cum laude. Saan ba nanggaling yung myth na yun? Nanggaling yun sa isang essay ni Domingo Abella in 1956, an Indio intellectual, where he argues that Panganiban is the great Bicolano patriot who graduated from the Seminary of Nueva Cáceres. He actually received his Bachiller in Artes, or counterpart niya present day is high school. Hindi siya college, no? Yung Bachiller in Artes was not college during that time. It was high school, yung tinatawag na Segunda Enseñanza. So, na-receive niya yung degree niya yon in 1883 at the Colegio de Santo Tomas. Okay? I actually have a copy of Panganiban's letter to UST, to the Vice Chancellor or Vice Rector of UST. So, pinadala niya yon June 4, 1882. He did not finish his studies at the seminary. Actually, he did not finish his studies anywhere. Okay, that's the thing about Panganiban. Hindi siya nagtapos kahit saan. So in that regard, wag natin siyang tularan. Okay. So, he obtained his Bachiller in Artes on March 14, 1883. And a few months later, he was admitted to the Faculty of Medicine of the University of Santo Tomas on scholarship, no? Isa siyang scholar, so yung kanyang board and lodging, yung kanyang pagkain, yung kanyang tuition, aklat, lahat ito sinagot ng UST. Bakit? Dahil magaling siyang estudyante. No? So he was rewarded for his academic excellence. If you're wondering, sir, kumusta kaya siya sa UST? Baka naman pagdating niya sa Manila, hindi na siya nakipagsabayan. No? He was actually at the top of his class at UST before he left in 1888. Pumasok siya ng pre-med. May pre-med noon, pero ang pre-med noon isang taon lang, whereas right now, it will take you 3 to 4 years to do a pre-med. During that time, it just took him 1 year, and he received sobresaliente in 3 courses. Actually, sa lahat ng subject niya sa UST, sobresaliente, except 3 courses which he took on his first year of medical studies. I think notable yung grade niya, or present-day terms, B+. No? So A yung lahat, B+ yung 3 subject niya nung first year of medicine proper. So magaling si Panganiban. If you're wondering, Sir Jai, sino mas magaling? Si Panganiban o si Rizal? Panganiban. Okay? Mas matataas ang grades ni Panganiban sa UST kesa kay Jose Rizal. Now, he left in 1888 for Barcelona. Hindi niya tinapos yung pag-aaral niya sa UST. 1888 siya umalis at lumipat daw siya, sabi ni Domingo Abella, sa University of Barcelona to continue his studies. But during my research, I found sources telling us that he may not have gone to Barcelona. Wala kasi siyang record doon sa Barcelona, at least the ones that are available. Hindi ko nakita yung pangalan niya sa record na dapat nga nandun na siya. So, saan pumunta si Panganiban? Anong pinagagawa niya sa Spain kung hindi siya nag-aral, di ba? Now, he became a contributor for La Solidaridad from 1889 to 1890. And he also was one of the highest ranking officials of the Masonic Lodge Revolution. So, hindi ko alam, hindi pa natin masigurado kung talagang pinagpatuloy niya yung medical studies. But what was certain is that he became preoccupied with the propaganda, with the reform movement that was going on from 1889 to the 1890s. Bakit, sir, ano lang, hanggang 1890 lang? Later, you will find out why. So, marami siyang preoccupations and I'd like to think na napabayaan niya rin yung pag-aaral niya. And maybe another reason for that is because he got sick when he arrived Barcelona. No? Nagkaroon siya ng tuberculosis, which was in fact an endemic, sorry, what do you call it? Epidemic. Epidemic ba tawag doon, no? Yung sa isang lugar lang. Epidemic siya sa Spain during that time, yung tuberculosis epidemic, right? Now, some of Panganiban's salient writings include La Universidad de Manila, a three-part critique of the state of education at the University of Santo Tomas. So maraming nagsasabi na kaya daw siya umalis ng UST kasi hindi siya nakontento kung paano tinuturo yung medisina sa mga estudyante. Sa halip na scientific, liberal yung orientation, tulad ng mga Vincentians, masyadong theological and dogmatic yung pagtuturo ng medicine, which for Panganiban was not appropriate in the study of the natural sciences in general. No? So if you take a look at El Filibusterismo, kung paano dinipict ni Rizal yung klase sa isang physics class sa UST was exactly how Panganiban criticized the system of education at the Faculty of Medicine, which, by the way, is celebrating its 150th year this year, 2021. And another important contribution by Panganiban is the article titled Pensamientos, or Thoughts, or yung translation niya in English was reason, but it's supposed to be thoughts, parang reflections niya on the importance of a free press. So it was a critique of censorship in the Philippines. And of course, a defense of a free press. Now, he died in Barcelona at the young age of 27 on August 19, 1890. May chismis pa nga noon na what exacerbated and facilitated his death was actually an incident at the Plaza de Barcelona. Nabugbog pa daw siya ng mga Kastila doon sometime in July 1890. So it accelerated his death. Imagine nyo, may tuberculosis na siya, binugbog pa siya. So talagang napaaga yung kanyang kamatayan. No? Matter of weeks, August 19, he expired at the young age of 27. So that's Jose Maria Panganiban. Now, where in Naga City will you see a monument or a bust of Jose Maria Panganiban? Please answer the question via the chat box and I will try to read some of them later. So this is a good picture of the Faculty of Medicine and Pharmacy, which is actually readily available online. You may download this via the Biblioteca Nacional de España, or the National Library of Spain. Now, the second notable student is Cayetano Lucban. Now, he was also a native of Camarines Norte, at this time of Labo, Camarines Norte. And he was born on August 7, 1866 to Agustin Lucban and Andrea Rilles. And he is the younger brother of Justo Lucban, a medical doctor, and Vicente Lucban, a general during the revolution, or a Philippine revolutionary general of Emilio Aguinaldo. No? What's fascinating here is that among the Lucban brothers, at least among the three, si Cayetano lang yung nag-aaral sa Seminario. Si Justo, if I'm not mistaken, sa Letran, at si Vicente sa Ateneo Municipal de Manila. Now, he received his degree in law at UST in 1892, so became a lawyer. He also became Secretary of Public Instruction of the Hong Kong Junta. Now remember, after the Treaty of Biak na Bato, di ba pumunta si Emilio Aguinaldo kasama yung mga tauhan niya sa Hong Kong. Na nung bumalik sila, 1898, may mga naiwan pang Filipino doon to campaign for the sovereignty and the independence of the Philippine Republic. Kasama doon si Cayetano Lucban. And he was Secretary of Public Instruction until 1901, kung kailan sumuko yung first Philippine Republic to the United States. 6 years later, he returned to the Philippines and was elected 2nd District Representative of Rizal, the Rizal Province, not of Camarines Norte, to the National Assembly. So isa siya sa mga unang Filipinong kinatawan o representante sa National Assembly of 1907, kung saan din na-elect si Manuel Quezon, Manuel Rojas, Sergio Osmeña, etc. Now, he served as fiscal and judge in various provinces of the Philippines from 1910 to 31. And his last year in politics was as representative of Camarines Norte to the First Philippine Assembly from 35 to 1936. That's Cayetano Lucpan. Now, student number 3, we have Tomas Arejola y Padilla. We have here a native of Nueva Cáceres or of Naga City. He was born on September 18, 1865. And he's the younger brother of General Ludovico Arejola, who was also a revolutionary general. He attended the Seminario de Nueva Cáceres from 1878 to 1884, according to an article by Soriano in 1992. And he went to the University of Santo Tomas and eventually moved to Madrid to continue his law studies, where he received his degree. If I'm not mistaken, a licentiate. Hindi ko sure kung nag-doctorate pa siya sa law or civil law during that time. And by the way, I have to distinguish civil law from canon law. Kasi during that time, kailangan paghiwalayan ng mga universities yung dalawa, especially UST, dahil nag-offer din sila ng programs on canon law. Okay, now Arejola was one of the Filipino propagandists in Spain in the late 19th century, and like Panganiban, he published articles in Spanish newspapers. And he's one of the delegates of the Bicol provinces to the 1907 National Assembly, so kasama niya si Lucban doon, and he was first district representative of Ambos, Camarines. Bakit pa siya tinatawag na Ambos, Camarines? But during that time, magkaisa pa or magkasama pa yung sur at yung norte. Sinabing Ambos, it could literally mean both. So both Camarineses. So norte, isur, magkasama sila to a province called Ambos, Camarines. Now, why was Arejola important? Because he wrote laws on the construction of bridges, roads, so public works yung kanyang mga sinulat na batas, municipal buildings, and of course, his important role in the construction of Naga Central School, which is of course now divided into 1 and 2. So we can say it's Ambos Central School during that time. Okay, isa pa siya. Wala pang Central 1, Central 2 during that time. So mahalaga si Arejola, no? Sana nga binibigyan din siya ng parehong pagkilala kay Panganiban dahil sa kanyang mga ambag sa public works, lalo na dito sa Cabicolan. So, Naga Central School. Okay, the last student that I'd like to share with you, or alumnus, is the most obscure perhaps among the 4. And this guy's name is Bernardino Monreal. So we already have a native from Camarines Norte. We now have a native from Naga, or at least Camarines Sur. Now let's go to a native of Daraga, Albay. So Bernardino Monreal was born on May 20, 1856 to Francisco Monreal and Maria Josefa de Guzman. So what's fascinating about Monreal is that he's born in Daraga. He was elected governor of Sorsogon, and there is a town, is that a town? Yeah, I think it's a town in Masbate that was named after him. So that's how influential Bernardino Monreal was, no? So he also attended the seminary in Naga between 1866 to 1875. Now, after he graduated, he went to UST to study at the Faculty of Medicine, where he received his licentiate or license to practice in 1893. So naging medical doctor si Bernardino Monreal. Right? Medical doctor at the same time governor. Diba? We could only wish for the same in the present day. Sana mga doktor at mga aral na lawyers din ang ating mga leaders. Diba? So Monreal, for example, was a provincial physician of Bataan. He was a member of Manila's Board of Health. He was municipal physician of Malabon and professor of natural history at the College of Malolo. So bago siya umuwi ng Sorsogon o kaya ng Albay, marami siyang ginampanang papel sa Maynila at sa iba't ibang probinsya sa Pilipinas. At makikita natin kung gaano siya ka-involved sa public health. Okay? Hindi lang sa public work, but also sa public health. So he moved to Sorsogon in 1900, but he was arrested in 1901. Kasi yung allegation sa kanya is that he was complicit to the revolutionary government and the insurgent committee who was tasked to collect war contributions or taxes from the Bicolano people. So nakulong siya. Sinasabi ni Sir Stephen, ni Dr. Stephen Henry Totanes na, or si Dr. T, no? Yung mga teachers sa Ateneo, kilala pa si Dr. T from the college unit. So, sinasabi ni Dr. T na nakabuti pa nga kay Monreal yung pagkakakulong niya kasi it catapulted him into public service, into politics. Nang dahil sa kanyang pagka-aresto, pagkakulong, he was elected governor of Sorsogon in 1902, the first Filipino to hold the post. So before you have Governor Salvador and even Francis Escudero, you have a Bernardino Monreal, the first Filipino governor of Sorsogon. And his brand of leadership can be captured in a phrase, un bien gobierno, or literally a good government. So bago pa tayo nagkaroon ng isang Jesse Robredo na naniniwala sa citizen empowerment, active participation, di ba, of the people, etc., nagmula ito kay Bernardino Monreal din, at least in the case of Sorsogon. So his good government is based on the ideals of involvement, efficient service, hindi lang service, no? And also honest deeds. Actually, may isang kwento si Dr. T na may nasampulan ito si Bernardino Monreal na opisyal ng Sorsogon. Itong si Leon Paras ay provincial secretary daw ng Sorsogon since 1901. Nung pumunta si Monreal sa Maynila for some, I think, personal, if not official matters, iniwan niya si Leon Paras to be the OIC governor of Sorsogon. But during his absence, ang ginawa nito ni Leon Paras, he granted concessions and government projects to his friend. Sounds familiar, di ba? Hindi lang siya nangyayari ngayon, kundi pati noon. So binigyan ni Leon Paras ng mga proyekto, ng pondo, at kung ano-ano pang mga tawag ito, concessions, yung kanyang mga kaibigan, malalapit na kaibigan. So hindi nagustuhan ni Monreal yung crony capitalism na ginawa ni Leon Paras in his, when he was in Manila. So ginawa niya, he pressured Paras to tender his resignation. Sana all, di ba? Sana all pinipressure mag-resign. Pero hindi eh. Pinoprotektahan pa nga in most cases. So these are just some of the students that I'd like to share with you. I know there's many more, but in the interest of brevity and time, I think I will just end with the example of Bernardino Monreal. Now, if you know other students of the seminary, feel free to share it in the chat box as well. Maybe we can talk about it during the open forum. So, balikan natin yung 3 questions ko. When was the Seminary of Nueva Cáceres founded? It was founded in 1785, not 1793, not 1797, 1785. Okay? And it was not the former Casa de Clerigos because the Casa de Clerigos functioned more as a residence than a seminary. Second, why do historians regard Gainza's episcopacy as the seminary's period of growth and prosperity? Because Gainza prioritized it. It was one of his educational reforms. He was at the helm of the reconstruction, the expansion, re-edification, and at the same time, the transfer of administration to the Vincentian Fathers, which, as I mentioned, spanned 109 years from 65 or 1865 to 1974. Last question, who are some of the notable figures in Bicol history who studied at the Seminario de Nueva Cáceres? So we have Tomas Arejola, Jose Maria Panganiban, we have Cayetano Lucban Irilles, and Bernardino Monreal. Now, before I end, I also would like to invite our students, our teachers, our seminarians to visit our Facebook page, Saysay Bicol, because the things I just mentioned today are also posted there, especially the stories of Bernardino Monreal, among others. So we feature weekly content, although it's very difficult to maintain because most of us are professionals. But we write articles and we come up with social media cards, such as this one. Of course, this is made by our co-founder, Sir Vic Nierva. Vic Nierva, siya ang nagde-design ng aming social media cards. So makikita niyo naman, napakaganda. And this was our social media card on June 5th, nung foundation anniversary ng Ateneo de Naga. And we also feature stories of people like Pedro Paulo Santos, di ba? Yung kinikilalang co-founder ng Ateneo de Naga. Jorge Bardin, first Filipino bishop, di ba? Bishop of Caceres from 1905 to 1909. We also have Bernardino Monreal. So we already wrote a feature of him on his birth anniversary last May. So I'm inviting everyone to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram if you have accounts on those platforms as well. We post weekly content and we also have webinars. We also sponsor a very short lectures. So if you're interested, feel free to stop by our pages on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So thank you very much. Dito na po muna magtatapos ang aking presentation. Diyos mabalos po.